I think we're going to disagree on this game. So let's bring some disagreement.
Ready for the Avion Smith propaganda here.
Yeah. You're going against the Mac Master, by the way, here. My Toledo 8-point favorite here, over under 44. This game will be played noon Eastern, ESPN. The only Group of 5 conference championship that's not played on a campus site. This one's played in Detroit, I think, since like 2003. With a win, Toledo would get its 5th and 2nd consecutive, but 5th overall MAC championship, which would match Marshall and Northern Illinois for the most ever. If Miami of Ohio pulls off the upset, they would get their 4th, tying Toledo for 2nd. These two teams, for what it's worth, played earlier this season. Toledo won 21-17 at Miami of Ohio, but Brett Gabbert was the quarterback for Miami of Ohio in that game. I do have a Miami of Ohio 8-1 future from the preseason MAC manifesto. I will be hedging that a bit just because so much has changed with Miami of Ohio. It's really unfortunate. I'm having deja vu. I have a team with a really good defense and a quarterback I loved who got hurt, and now it's to play Toledo without their quarterback in the MAC championship, just like my Ohio future last year, and that was 25-1 too. So I'm in complete deja vu here, but I will be hedging some. Still deciding on that. Keep an eye on the Action Network app. Just to give you a high level profile of both teams. Toledo's both these teams are really similar in that just how they're constructed. Toledo's offense, Daquan Finn runs RPO-based scheme. All 5 offensive linemen have started every game. Very highly rated in line yards. The left side's really good with Skiri and Rossi. But everything runs through Penny Boone, who averaged, I think, 7.4 yards per carry, which was number 1 among all backs with at least 100 carries this year. The wide receiver's okay, but not spectacular. But everything goes through the run. These are 2 really run-heavy offenses. Miami of Ohio, on the other hand, they're also run-heavy offense, RPO-based with Avion Smith, who took over for Gabbert, who got hurt midway through the season. Not a polished passer, more of a mobile guy. They're top 25 rush rate, but their bottom 10 rush success rate. They can't really run it well. Can't do much well. They will just try to grind out the game, and they rely on their defense and special teams. Their offensive line also has some weak areas. That's been the case all year from Ohio. They're number 1. They lost their star tight end earlier this season for the season, Jack Coldiron. They obviously lost Gabbert, who I think was the best quarterback in the conference. And then their number 1 receiver, Gage Larverdane, because what Miami does is they just run into the wall, and then every once in a while they'll take a shot, try to hit an explosive. And last year that was Hippenhammer. This year was Southeast Louisiana transfer, Gage Larverdane, but he's missed the last 2 games of the hamstring and are questionable. So they could be without their top 3 offensive players coming into the season. And so both offenses design pretty similarly. Neither gives up explosive plays either. Toledo a little bit more talented and the more talented quarterback, although Finn still puts the ball in harm's way a little too often for my liking. 21 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, but 17 big-time throws, 14 turnover-worthy plays. Interception risk here could hurt Toledo. Defensively, if you look at these teams, 2 of the best Group of 5 defenses in the country. I actually have Miami Ohio number 1, but they're both like close to top 40 nationally for me. They both play 4-2-5 base, not a lot of bells and whistles, not a lot of disguise, man on the outside. There's not much, you're not going to get a bunch of different looks. They're both solid, and they both have so much experience. They're just seniors everywhere. They both never miss tackles. They have great deep safety groups that come up and clean everything up. Like I said, they don't give up any explosives. Miami Ohio, I think, is number 3 in the country in explosives allowed, number 2 against the pass. You can't add any explosives. And then if you do get down the field, they're both really good in finishing drives on defense. So they both bow up. The Miami Ohio defense, Sal Peck is a stud at safety. Ty Wise, Indiana transfer. They clean everything up. Defensive line, a little undersized, so you can get a push against them. But the safeties are great. They have a really good corner in McKee. Strader's serviceable on the other side. You're just not going to hit explosives against them. The path to success for Toledo is they're going to be able to grind it down the field, running it with Boone. Not going to hit many explosives. But you can get a push up front against Miami, Ohio, because they're just Ertl and Hilton are a little undersized in the middle. Other side, Toledo, same thing, 4-2-5 base, not a lot of bells and whistles, not a lot of disguise. Their front seven little drop off from last year, not as great. They lost 3 pro prospects, but you still have Judge Culpepper who can wreak havoc from the interior. You still have a really good run stuffer, and you have one of the best linebackers, a former Ohio State transfer in Gant, and they have the best group of 5 corner in Quinyon Mitchell, who's going to get drafted. And he can take away one side of the field. He can also play in the slot. If Garberdane plays, he can take him completely away. Their safety's also extremely good. And they had some injuries earlier in the year, but they're now fully healthy. This defense, I mean, you got Darius Alexander as the run stuffer. I mean, there's no weaknesses here. Bauer returned from injury at safety. You got Hook, Ford in the slot. They can move guys around too. A lot of versatility. Never miss tackles. Fly to the ball. A lot of speed. No real weaknesses here. So Miami of Ohio, I don't see them having much success moving the ball. 130th. They're a snail. Seconds per play. They want to grind the game down to a halt. You want to watch this game? Miami has the ball. Watch the clock. It's going to speed. And I don't think Toledo is going to have much success through the air. They're going to have to grind it with Boone, rely on Boone. And I don't see either team getting a lot of touchdowns in this game. Not a lot of explosive plays. So my favorite bet in this game is the under. I know it's come down a little bit. I still like it. I think this game plays out similarly to last year. Same, I just mentioned it. Toledo with a great D, Finn at quarterback, same offense, going up against a team that didn't have their quarterback with a limited offense and a more mobile quarterback. What did Toledo do in that game? They just said, we know we can win this with our defense. They ran it 47 times, I believe. Only threw it 25 for 150 yards. Said, we're not going to turn it over, rely on our defense. They won 17-7. So I know this is on a fast track. Ford Field, I adjusted up the total like 1.5 points, but I still really love the under. Miami of Ohio, both these defenses are elite at the group of 5 level. Both offenses have their limitations. So I think this game, I think either team is going to struggle to get to more than 21 points. So I like the under. That's a kind of a quick summation of both teams. It's my last time I can really ramble about a MAC game. So sorry for the long ramble. Before I make a quick case for Miami of Ohio, what is your case for Toledo?
This Miami of Ohio offense is not going to get as many first downs. They're not going to be as successful. They are not going to be as efficient as Toledo, as Daquan Finn and Penny Boone. Now, Toledo has the ability through Daquan Finn to have 4 to 6 turnovers and make themselves look like they belong in a pod with Northern Illinois. Can't wait for no divisions next year.
But that's why I think they're not even going to be that aggressive. They're going to say, we know we can shut Miami of Ohio down, run the ball. That's one of the reasons I like the under. I think they're going to have a similar game plan to last year when they won 17-7.
Yeah, I mean, Miami, they're 38th in havoc. I mean, they have the ability to do it, but at the same time, I can't get over like how drab the Miami of Ohio offense has been. I know Avion Smith is better than the numbers he's put up. He's been the starter since week 9 against Ohio. He's only recorded 2 TDs. He's had 2 interceptions and just 128 designed yards, 128 rushing yards from designed calls. And he's put 2 fumbles on the ground. It's just, I remember Avion Smith being better than that. So I don't think that we've seen his peak. And, Miami's been horrific at running the ball. They have the 30th highest rate of passing downs on offense, where the Redhawks rank 122nd in success rate and 120th in EPA. They are terrible when they get behind the chains. I mean, bottom 10 in efficiency and EPA when they're outside of 1st and 10, 2nd and 7, 3rd and 4. So to me, that is what screams that the Toledo offense has a much better chance of moving the ball and getting into scoring position than Miami of Ohio does. And Toledo's offense should take advantage of a Miami of Ohio defense that just can't stop the run at the point of attack on the line. Miami of Ohio is 93rd in line yards, and they're 121st in stuff rate. Penny Boone ought to eat that up. And Toledo doesn't run a whole bunch of zone. They actually have man blocking schemes that do power, pull, lead, and counter. And that's where I made this bet, is that Miami of Ohio is horrific against counter run concepts. They allow an explosive play on 14% of attempts against counter. So if Penny Boone is running counter, he could take it. So that, I saw a 7 flash at one of my books, grabbed it there. I'd still play it 7.5, 8. If you want to parlay this, that's fine. But I'm in on Toledo here, assuming no mistakes. If I get the Daquan Finn 6 turnover game, then that's usually what he does in a bowl. So,
so my case for Miami of Ohio, yeah, like I said, I agree with you. I think they should get a push up front. but one part of the handicap is Finn could turn it over here, and he's probably due for 1 or 2. Also, coaching advantage for Miami of Ohio. But
Yep.
why? And so I think Toledo is going to grind with Boone, be able to move it, but it's going to take them a while, and they're going to get stuck in the red zone. Finn might make a couple of mistakes. I also like the under, which makes this number more valuable with the underdog. But why Miami of Ohio with this limited offense? I agree with you. They're going to struggle to move the ball at all. Toledo's front, they're not also in like 93rd, 94th in line yards. But Miami of Ohio just doesn't get a great push. They're not great at running the ball. They're just going to bleed the. So why does Miami of Ohio in this game? How are they 9-3 against the spread? And by the way, MAC conference underdogs 12-5-1 against the spread, 71% since 2005. What? Miami of Ohio will win every intangible, every possible non-offensive or defensive factor in this game. Let's go through them. Number one, coaching. Just mentioned that they'll have an advantage there. Special teams. Miami of Ohio has my number one rated special teams in the country. They have they're number 2 in net punting. They have the best punt returner, top 10 nation, but best punt returner in the MAC. They have a kicker who's automatic, hasn't missed a field goal all year, 7 for 7 over 40 yards. This special teams is elite. By the way, Toledo outside the top 100 net punting, outside the top 100 in punt return yardage, less reliable kicker. So we got special teams. My Ohio's been winning games, special teams. They know they're not going to go for the 4th down. They're going to play the super conservative. Run the clock, punt it, rely on their defense. Make field goals. That's their path here. Win this game, try to win this game 17-13. They're also never penalized. Top 10 in the nation in penalties. Guess where Toledo is? Outside the top 100. So penalties, coaching, special teams, all of the intangibles, all of that is going to go Miami's way. And that's why, despite a completely limited offense, they've been able to cover games. And that's why they always are undervalued in the market. So I like Miami. And like I said, 130 seconds per play, they're going to grind this game down to a halt. I do think Toledo wins, which is why I'm going to hedge a little bit. I don't think Miami just has enough juice on offense, but I think they can ugly this game up. And with all those other peripherals, I think they keep this close. I'm going to call it 17-13 final. Toledo wins. But hopefully I get the Finn 4 turnover game, because that's the path for Miami Ohio winning out, right? And
it's coming. We don't know when. It's coming.
Because I hit Ball State 14. I mean, I hit Ball State 14-1 3 years ago. And my last 2 MAC futures, I had Kent State 15-1 favored by 4 in the title against Northern Illinois. Didn't hedge and they lost. And then I had last year Ohio 25-1. They lose fucking Rourke. And then this year 8-1. Miami of Ohio loses Gabbert. And possibly their top tight end and top receiver. So maybe I'll get some luck there. But that's my take. Good stuff on the MAC. Always good to get 2 sides when we disagree, because ultimately that's what we want this podcast to be. If you're leaning one way, present both cases and help you make your decision one way or the other.